So today, I want to talk about the informant speech. The theaters, um, its use of plastic oil fill. Um, that starting from to inform my audience how plastic bottle impact human life. I will first describe plastic and then describe the impact those plastic have. And with the introduction, the perfect world for human to live and balance nature harmony in our past and history. In this introduction, I will talk about the ideas of what we are plastics, what are the plastic, and how we now know about the future of plastics. So first, I will let's look at what is going on with the plastic in our environment, and start by this. And this is probably because the sugars are in every level in every meal and run by the commercial machine. The reason of that is based on two concepts. First, the linear system and the circular economic. The book of Grow Garage um, Garage Biology by Edward Humes, briefly by giving the idea briefly by giving the an American annual waste simpler of plastic was is so plentiful and so careless treated that the 90% of Americans have potential harmful plastic chemical in their urine. And growing, shipping, and selling the food destined to be thrown away use more energy than it is currently produced by offset oil drilling, and 10% of the world oil supply is used to make and transport disposable plastic. And how does it relate to the system of linear? If we can think, and let's think about the roadmap of natural capitalism. In this study of the library, this is published by the Harvard Business Review on green business strategy. The author was given the direction in the paper. In an exclusive summary, no one would run a business without accounting for its capital outlay, and yet most companies overlook one major capital component: the value of the earth ecosystems, services. What about the zero waste? End of quote. So we're talking about the zero waste before we even get to the school of library, and within the speech of the idea of what zero waste and linear systems is about. Now we're back in the zero waste. The zero waste is what we could possibly mean zero waste in our community. If you ever come across with the street or nearby campus of SNC Oliver and Pierre street intersection, you should see a traffic sign that this is a zero waste community by the year that issued. Paul Kennett, the author of the Zero Waste Solution, who wrote the book about zero waste, drew a map indicating if the waste isn't wasteful until it is waste on the pages 2 to 9 on the book. My opinion to the answer is to ask the question if the zero waste has no universal solution either on the earth or the sun galaxy, if that's the language of coding you could understand. Number two is talk about, now we're actually done with the introduction. So the transaction to make you to be understandable about this speech is that we're giving the idea of what to the audience about using the plastic. Single plastic can be polluted the ocean, and how plant tree could be able to help. So by planting the tree and the photosynthesis, the tree gives life and remain the psychological process of our daily components. During the day, we have fresh air, and the idea of species in trees help us as one human to pump the sugar in the soil so we can plant more food, and based on that we have a solid infrastructure in modern world of today. It's like our lawn and design requires of in and output to function. So now I have described about the tree and its function, how tree works with the day and night. Now we are in the plastics solutions that are probably disposed of break down into microplastics. So what happened to the plastic that was not properly disposed of? In the Zero Waste book, in the Zero Waste book, uh, where are you? Yeah, in the Zero Waste book, it is the most biggest obstacle to zero waste concept. Think about this way: not only the plastic or a byproduct of fossil fuel, even high school can understand, but the released toxic air from manufacturing production, which in concern over nanoparticle emission from incinerator has grown consistently since 2000 in the agreement of incinerator release very toxic nanoparticle. If the ocean is a sky which chew off the bubble gum of trees, the bio byproduct which we call the plastic will find its way to take by either mankind of the balance of the nature process to relocate itself to a belief system for us to once pursue a better life. So now we understand why we're here and what high school has been taught or not been taught about planting trees or its biological system to a significant since 2000 in the argument of using incinerator and to a nanoparticle in subject. So now we know about the plastic are recyclable and are being added to aftermarket toxic elements. So what about the plastic and the life of migrant? Uh, my migrant. So the transaction to that is what if I tell you what we have living on to Earth and the consumption in plastic bottle as human activity. Now that I told you about plastic, I have described how it is impacting my marine life. And there's a two way of plastic that is making an impact. So the first way that microplastic impact marine life is through the business in human behavior such as oil field. As as I was describing earlier in the speech, and the landfill and the urban city that also give direction from the book of Shanghai City talks about how the green city is one of the cost of subsidizing sparrow is that America's carbon emission are higher than they should be. City are green, living a high density and walking a lot more environmental friendly. And look at those people. And um, um, yeah, yeah, living a high density and walking a lot more environmental friendly. So then living in a low density um, suburb and driving everywhere, America's failure to have a sensible environment policies that charge people for the environment cost of their action also creates a dangerous bias of a flat world, which means we have an issue and problem going on, continues going on with environmental justice. Um, so of the natural resource in fossil fuel to gain its ability by the plastic which impact our careless to nature. So now we understand about what the climate justice is about. Now we're gonna move on to the next second impact of microplastic of marine life. It's also to recycle plastic are now a factor of the products in fossil fuel. The basic elements for marine life, um, marine life to this its life cycle through marine animals live on whatever happens to be in their surrounding. And this is not surprising that microplastic get into their bodies, and to date plastic particles have been detected in over 100 animal species studied now that the largest sea creatures such as Bowling whale, the manta ray, or those people out there, or the basking shark, are the most affected. They all feed on plankton and through ingest huge amount of microplastic. That's very good. I think the understanding of chewing off the tree like a bubblegum, coupled with this artistic activity such as plastic. So coupled with this artistic additivity such as plastic scissors, this have effects similar to hormones and impair fertility. In extreme cases, they even causes a rise to develop in male animals. A large becomes small, which are added to many cosmetics, skincare, and household cleaning products. A story from Clean Care by the Plastic Pollution in Venice of the pollution on the kind of the American failure. So here's comes the conclusion. What if I told you my English is not very good enough and trying to explain this whole concept in a speech? Will I put myself in harm, or I'm risking myself to pronounce the right tone or the language to the people that has assistant to believe? So now that I have told you, we all have the power to change and seeking the equality of life, like true is the natural behavior in human history, the gift from Earth to form us in humanity and the equation of the Sun galaxy that we're living in. The planet Earth is a common home of all species, that we are human and intelligence of change that and to live on one joy, prefer and offer to one another as one global citizenship. I know it's not gonna happen because before that it has to be a climate justice. We may not know, maybe tomorrow if plastic will lead us to, but in our behavior we have ability to manage and change the course of the path and the years of coming to remain the rights to transform the earth into our planet Earth. One concept I have learned is doing the practice of yoga within the introduction of use of plastic.